Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. I'm your DJ and host, Sam Wilson Jr., and I'm here to bring you the history genre of black music: gospel, jazz, blues, old school classic soul, old school hip hop, today's hip hop and R&B, Caribbean, Latin, Afrobeat, Afro-Latina, blue-eyed soul, disco, go-go, line dances, and the Lost 45s. So come with me as I take you on to a trip to the history destination genre of black music, right now on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and I have a special guest on my show. Now, before I introduce her, not only I interview independent singers and musicians and music producers from different genres of black music, but I also interview radio DJ personalities too. And yes, I too was a radio DJ personality, and I once worked at AM 1460 WBOX Radio in New Rochelle, New York. And sadly, the radio station went out of business. But let me tell you about my guest. This lady that I'm about to introduce to you is a radio DJ personality, and she has been in the radio industry for over 21 years. And she was also a voiceover broadcaster. So please help me welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, radio DJ personality, Miss Nicole Lutz. Hi, Nicole. How are
Thank
you?
you. I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Welcome to my podcast. It is a pleasure to have you here on my show. And as I mentioned, not only I interview independent singers and musicians, but radio DJ personalities, because I
Yes.
get a chance to talk with my radio colleagues from season 3, and now we're on season number 4. And I finally have a real radio DJ celebrity on my podcast. So,
Oh,
again, thank you for coming on here.
thank you for having me.
Okay, so we're going to have a wonderful conversation,
Yes.
radio DJ to radio DJ.
Yes.
So let us begin, shall we? Now, where were you born?
I am from originally from Cleveland, Ohio. So I'm used to the cold. Um, yeah, but yeah, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. I was there for 32 years, and right now I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, okay, because I recently visited Cleveland, Ohio, which is home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum,
Yes.
and I do have
Hmm.
some cousins in Cleveland, Ohio. So I've been to Cleveland twice to
Okay.
check out the museum, including the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum. And let me tell you, I had some experience with that museum for 6 full hours. I've seen all of my favorite singers from back in the day and the day from all music genres.
Hmm.
So I'm no stranger to Cleveland. And I do have a relative who lives in Tennessee.
Oh, do you? Okay. Oh, nice.
Yes, I do. So I do see some connection. Now, were your parents in the media industry, or did they had 9 to 5 day jobs?
They were not. My dad actually worked for Ford Motor Company, and my mom, um, excuse me, my mom, she worked for a law firm. So, and I have a sister who's a nurse. So, no, it was just me.
Now, which high school did you go to?
I actually had an interesting high school experience. I went to Holy Name High School in ninth grade, which is in Parma, Ohio. And then I actually got the choice to go to a vocational school. And I had the option of skipping 10th grade. And what kid would not want to do that? So I got to graduate a year early. Um, while taking graphic communications, which kind of helped along the lines of websites and stuff. So,
Now, which college did you go to?
well, right out of high school, I went to Ohio Center for Broadcasting. And then after that, um, while still doing broadcasting, I went on to Cuyahoga Community College in Parma. And then I went on to Notre Dame of South Euclid. So a little bit of everything in
Was
there.
oh, okay. Okay. Was radio your major in college?
It was not. When I got out of high school, since I graduated a year early, I had I had applied to no colleges. I had no idea what I wanted to do. My mom actually heard a commercial on the radio for Ohio Center for Broadcasting. And she told me about it, and she thought, I love to talk. And um, I went and I checked the school out, and I started a week later. So that was the beginning. And then I went on to Tri C, and I was taking piano lessons and voice lessons, and it just went from there.
Now, who did you want it to be when you grow up?
When I was younger, I wanted to be a singer, which I think it's best for everyone that I wasn't. Um, my voice was okay, but then once I got into radio, I wanted to be the female Ryan Seacrest, just because he started off doing, radio and TV, American Idol. He's just all over. He's amazing. So that's really what I wanted to do.
Was being a radio broadcaster your calling?
I think it introduced me to the right people, right in broadcasting. Um, I Then it opened up a bunch of doors um, at the couple different radio stations that I was at. I got to meet some really great people who have kind of set me up along the way, that I still keep in touch with. And that's kind of how the voiceover started then, is I met people through them, and that's what kind of led me into the voiceover industry.
Now, growing up, what were some of your favorite music radio stations in your city and state?
Well, I actually ended up working for them, but at the time it was Clear Channel. They owned, and I loved, and I ended up working for 99.5 WGAR. And then there was also 96.5, which was Kiss FM. I love Q104. There's a lot of great DJs on there. Cleveland has a lot of amazing radio stations.
Now, growing up, who were some of your favorite radio DJ personalities?
I did get the pleasure of, I was actually interning at the time. His name is, and now I know where he got it from, but um, John Connor. Um, and he's amazing. I think now he's currently in, I think, Washington. But he was at Q104 for a while. And then there, Ryan Seacrest. Um, and there is a gentleman that my very first radio job, he's actually he does a cover of Johnny Cash, and he looks and sounds just like him. And he's kind of helped me get my first on-air job, but he was definitely up there. And then there was someone at 96.5, Clear, Clear Channel at that point. His name was Casper. So they definitely influenced me.
Mhm. I was going to answer the next question. Who were your favorite radio DJ influences that had inspired you to get into radio?
Inspired me. I think John Connor was probably the biggest one, with the interning and him just giving me the advice that he gave me. I still remember it to this day. So I would say he was my number one.
Well, me growing up, one of my influences was the late Frankie Crocker, and was raised on Frankie Crocker in the NYC when he was at WWRL and then moved to WBLS FM in the NYC. He was my
Oh, nice.
influence because he played everything on his show on WBLS. One time he opened up with a gospel selection and then he started mixing it up. He'll put in some jazz and some blues. And he didn't care what song or musician he would put on there. He didn't care if it was white or black or Latino or Asian or Caribbean or Native American or LGBTQ. He knew that the artist and the song just fits for his show. If the song had rhythm, then it fits for his show. And I got a chance to meet Frankie Crocker back in November of 1992 at the
Oh,
Museum
wow.
of Television and Radio, which is now called the Paley Museum in Midtown Manhattan, New York City. So I went there right after work, got a chance to get into the museum, and
Okay.
went to the MTR studio, and there he was, Frankie Crocker. And I was sitting in the seats, with the audience. And then I saw these three sisters were coming in to the studio, and I said to myself, "Who are these ladies?" And they were there promoting their album, and I knew that they were known as Sisters with Voices, or SWV. And then, like around 6 o'clock, I got his autograph, and still up to his date, I still got his autograph in my photo album. So
That's
I have
awesome.
seen so many radio DJs, including those that I delivered packages to when I once worked at CBS, now Viacom CBS Paramount. I got a chance to see Harry Harrison and Ron Lundy and Bill Brown and Bob Shannon, just to name a few. So those were my influences, and those are some of the radio. 'Cause I wanted to get into the radio um, game, and when I told my late mother that I wanted to get into radio, she thought I was nuts. And she'll probably say, "Does that pay you a good paycheck? Do they give you like a Social Security or FICA, something like that?" And she was just concerned. I said, "Well, radio was my calling, you know, because people tell me that I have a wonderful voice,
You do.
and with my thank you so much,
You're
and with
welcome.
my podcast, let's move forward." So that was my influence. Now, you once worked as a promotions assistant.
I did.
Please share with us, what is a promotions assistant and what does a promotions assistant do?
Sure. Well, the promotions assistant are the people they set up at live concerts, events. They get people signed up for the very interactive with the listeners. Sometimes the DJ will come and we'll be signing people up for stuff. There's games. It's very family oriented. The music, the radio DJ is there, so it is live, and they do the live feeds, and then one of my favorite radio DJs that passed away, sadly, I think it was back in 2014. He really took me under his. He was amazing. He worked for 99.5, and he was my favorite there. And we would do Friday coffee breaks, and I would go pick up the bakery, and we would put together mugs and stuff with the radio station logo on, and we would surprise the winners, the businesses, and it was a lot of fun. I miss doing that too. So
Mhm. Now, what year when you got your big break, and what's the name of the radio station where you got your start?
It was very tiny little station that you cannot get out of. I think it's possibly a mile outside of the city. It was WOBL, WDLW in Oberlin, Ohio. It's right next to, no joke, right next to a cornfield. Um, it was just an older house. Nicest people though. They were all very nice. I met my best friend that I still we're still best friends to this day. She was a former DJ there. So
Was that WOWO that you just mentioned in
it was
Cleveland?
WOBL, WDLW. They were two AM stations. At that point, it was oldies and country. I think
Oh,
that might be what they still are today, but that was a while ago.
okay. Yeah, because we had AM 1190 WLIB in the
Okay.
NYC, and the sister station was WBLS. So WLIB was a daytimer radio station, and their format was called the Lost Soul Classics, or those Lost 45s. That was Monday through Friday. On Saturday morning, they made a commitment to do some Caribbean music, and then at 12 noon, they will play some of the Lost Soul until they sign off at around 7 or 7:15,
Oh, nice.
depending on, the daylight. Like sunrise is at 7 o'clock, and they sign on, and they
Okay.
would sign off at around 6. So they sign off, and then after when WLIB sign off for the night, then I hear whoa whoa WOWO in Cleveland. I was like, wait a minute, are they you know, simulcasting with another radio station in Cleveland? So I had to bring up that question because when you mentioned some of the stations in Cleveland, Ohio, here in the NYC, we always get pick up some other stations, that not affiliated with some of the stations here in the NYC. So that's why I brought up WOWO.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now, yes. Now, what was your experience as a radio DJ personality and a radio board operator?
It was a lot of fun because in the past I've done both, but then doing both for myself, running my own board was awesome. But then also in syndication, we'd be running, say, for example, Mike Bloomberg, we'd be running his show, and I'd be doing the board from where I was at and cutting out the commercials and, adding ours in. It was a great experience. It taught me a lot of like the engineering side, but I loved running my own board. I had control of everything, so it was just a one woman show.
Because same here for me when I got my big break at AM 1460 WBOX. But before that, I was an intern at AM 1520 WTHE out in
Okay,
Mineola, Long Island, New York, where I had to take the Long Island
nice.
Railroad from
Okay,
NYC, got off in Mineola, and just walked down to the station to the end of East 2nd Street. There was WTHE.
okay.
So I started an intern. I learned how to use the radio board, or back then it was known as the potinator. That's what they would call it. The
Okay.
potinator back then was made of radio knobs, and today it's called the volume fader. So I got my first taste of going behind that radio board because I wanted to play that radio board so bad. You just have to know some of those words and what do they mean. So I got
Yes.
my first intern at WTHE, and then after that came back home to the Bronx, and I took the Westchester bus to New Rochelle, and that's where I got my start at AM 1460 WBOX. And that's where I started not only doing the radio announcing, but also working behind the radio board operator, because the station was big band and jazz integrated with talk and information. So they would have open line from 10 to 11, and
Okay.
I would be behind the board taking care of the volume. So you got to pay close attention to the meter. You don't want to have that meter go red, because one of the owner of the station was looking at me and saying, "Hey, keep an eye on the meter. Make sure it doesn't go in the red." So
Yes.
that's another thing that I had to learn
Hmm.
on how to make sure you control the board without going over through the red. So that was my first experience, I can tell you that. Now, you're now a full time radio DJ on the air. What was the name of the radio station that you work at right now?
I was um, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, let me say the question. You're now a full time radio DJ. So, what's the name of the radio station that you work at right now?
Oh, sorry. That's the one that I couldn't talk about. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so we'll go on to the next question.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Now, you also had voiceover production work. In other words, doing commercials. What's
Yes.
it like doing those voiceover commercials, whether it's for commercials or jingles?
It's a lot of fun. You get the copy and you get to just bring it to life. You get the words, bring them to life on and then you get to edit it. And um, I never, yeah, I never listen to my work. I mean, once it's on the air, I don't know. I don't like the sound of my own voice. So I don't listen to my work, but playing it back and stuff and editing that I do. But once it's on the air, I don't listen to my own commercials.
Okay. Now, weren't you one time a voiceover actress?
Yes, I still do that now. I have done a couple of commercials here in Nashville. They were all of them were great experiences. They were great businesses. The one I think is still on. It's a small radio station in Columbia, Tennessee. I believe that one is still going. And then I have a couple other um, hopefully things in the works that hopefully you guys will be hearing soon.
Okay. Now, if you wasn't a radio DJ personality, what would you be doing right now?
I always had a interest in. I love the crime shows, and I think I wanted to be an FBI agent. I think that's maybe where I would have went, like crime scene investigation, um, along those lines. Which is actually what when I
Now,
went.
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. When I went to the Notre Dame of South Euclid, I actually started with like forensic courses, and then the school actually um, closed. But maybe eventually I'll pick that back up somewhere along the lines. But I mean, the voiceover is what I've always wanted to do, and I've done a little acting as well. So something big, hopefully coming up with that. But unfortunately, I can't talk about that right now.
Now, here's a question that I've always asked my guests. Living or dead, which singer or musician, or maybe an actor or an actress who can also sing, that you wish you wanted to have if you had your own radio show?
That would be my favorite actor, Frank Grillo. He is. He was with Marvel. He played Crossbones, and he was in The Purge, and now he's with DC. And just I listen to all his interviews. I've seen all his movies, and such a big fan of his. And I would just love to sit there and pick his brain on stuff. And just he's changed my life in a bunch of different ways. So he's just it would be great to talk to him.
Okay. Now, here on the Black Soul Music Experience, I always ask my guests, who is the top 10 R&B black artist of all time? Now, since I have you, Nicole, on my show, I'm going to be bringing the top 10 R&B black and blue-eyed soul and pop artists of all time. Now, here's how it works. We start like a top 10 countdown. We start at number 10. Who was the best singer but didn't get any recognition? That's the bottom five. Then we get to the top five and we figure out who was the best performer around. That artist had some of those top 10 or number one hits? Did that artist have received gold or platinum or double platinum or triple platinum or diamond platinum? Did that artist had received over a million copies in print? Did that artist have won a Grammy or American Music Award or a Soul Train Award or a CMA Award or a BET Award or an MTV VMA Award? Or did that artist performed on Soul Train or American Bandstand or The Midnight Special or Solid Gold or NBC Saturday Night Live or Hee Haw? Or did that artist had their own special on CBS or NBC or ABC? Or did they had that special on PBS? Or did they had that live concert special aired on HBO or Showtime? So, Nikki, since you're the radio DJ and I'm the radio DJ, we can put in our top 10. So I'll let you go first. And if you get stuck, I'll help you out to fill in the blanks.
Okay,
Are you ready to take the challenge?
I am.
Okay. Who should be at number 10?
Oh, at number 10. Um, oh man. Oh, that's a hard one. There are so many good ones. It's hard for me to rate them. Why don't you go first?
Okay. I'm going to start number 10. I'm going to start with Thelma Houston. And no, she's not related to Whitney or Sissy or Dionne Warwick.
Okay.
Thelma Houston came on the scene back in the early 70s. She didn't have any hits. But then in 1976, with her LP called Any Way You Like It, released on Motown's Tamla label, she
Okay.
did the remake of Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes' Don't Leave Me This Way. It went to number one on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts back in the spring of 1977 and number one on Billboard's Soul Singles charts back in December of 1976. She won a Grammy for Best R&B Female Vocal. She had some other hits, but didn't get that much recognition until she came back in the 80s with a song called You Used to Hold Me So Tight. That was produced by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. She performed it on Soul Train, and she
Okay.
also performed it on an episode of Simon and Simon on CBS.
Oh,
I said,
wow.
oh, Thelma Houston, guest appearance on Simon and Simon.
Very nice.
Yes, and I'm gonna put Thelma Houston at number
Number 10.
10.
Okay.
All right, who should be at number 9?
Oh gosh. I have the people that I could just name, and I don't know if I want to rate them, but um, can I start with number one?
Okay, well, we'll go backwards
We'll
and
go
let you
backwards.
start
Okay.
yours.
Um, for me, I absolutely grew up loving her. And I wanted to sing like her, which never happened. But for me, it was Whitney Houston.
Ah, yes, Whitney Houston,
Yes,
number
love her.
one, the princess of pop. She
Yes.
has sold over 1 million copies. She has won a Grammy for Best New
Yes.
Artist. She won an American Music Award for Best New Artist.
Hmm.
She have received an American Music Award of Merit, been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the class of 2020. She had appeared in movies including The Bodyguard,
Hmm.
Waiting to Exhale, and the remake of The Preacher's Wife, which was known back then The Bishop's
Hmm.
Wife. And yeah, she made some guest appearances on TV, including episodes of Silver Spoons and also on NBC Saturday Night Live. That was a Christmas skit. So I'll, I'll put you down for Whitney for number one. And I'm going to put down number I'm going to put down Billy Paul. He is best known for his number one hit, Me and Mrs. Jones, number one hit on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts back in December of 1972 for 3 weeks, and also number one on Billboard's Soul Singles charts. That too was number one, and that was for 3 weeks. That was his number one hit. He had some other songs, but not a much didn't get that much, umph like
Hmm.
Me and Mrs. Jones. So I'm gonna put Billy Paul at number 9.
That's a good one.
Okay, Nikki, I'll let you do yours.
Oh, well, huge fan of him. Um, I I think he's might be touring, and I want to go so bad. Um, I run a lot, and one of the artists that I listen to mainly while running is Eminem. Um, he's one of my favorites.
Ah, Slim Shady,
Yes.
Eminem. Okay, for your list at number 2. He had made his debut back in 1999.
Hmm.
I saw the video on MTV or VH1 with his debut called Hi, my name is who? My
My
name
name
is
is
who?
yeah.
My name's Slim Shady.
Yes.
And I saw the video. That had me laughing.
I,
I'm telling you, he made some funny tunes, but those rap tunes were top 10 hits. And let me tell you, Eminem have been discovered by Dr. Dre
mhm,
of
yeah.
NWA on the West Coast. And yes, representing Detroit. He had some other tunes back then. Some were good, and yes, there were some were controversial, but you know the old saying, controversy sells, and
It
they all
does.
became number one hits. Nominated for a Grammy, he won an Oscar
Yes.
for his movie 8 Mile
I love that
back
movie.
in 2002. So yes, he's still performing, and he's hip hop representing Detroit. So we'll put yours, Eminem, at number 2. Now, for me, at number 8, I'm going to start with the group called War. And they made their debut back in 1970 with Eric Burton, who was the former lead singer of The Animals.
Oh
He
yeah.
discovered the group back in 1970. They had their debut called Spill the Wine, and they had some other hits, including The World is a Ghetto, The Cisco Kid, Why Can't We Be Friends, and
Hmm.
Lowrider. And speaking of Lowrider, that song was used for some other commercials and others. It was used for the George Lopez show on ABC
Hmm.
and many other tunes. So War is, still performing, and I'm going to put War at number 8.
It's a good pick too.
Okay, Nikki. Yes. Okay, for you, for number 3.
Oh, um, I loved her. I still do. Unfortunately, she's no longer with us, but Aaliyah,
Yes, Aaliyah.
yeah.
Yes, she made her debut back in 1994 with a song called Back and Forth,
Hmm.
produced by R. Kelly. And that was
Yes.
from her debut LP entitled Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. And she did the song called At Your Best. And when I saw the song on Billboard magazine, I saw that song was written by the Isley Brothers. And I didn't know that Aaliyah did the remake of the song until I got the original one from the Isley Brothers. I said, oh, okay. So
Yeah.
Aaliyah did the remake of that song.
Hmm.
Yes. So Aaliyah had some other tunes, including One in the Million, and she did some duets with Timbaland and Missy Elliott. And her final song was called Rock the Boat, and they did a
Yeah.
music video. Sadly, when we heard the news on August 31st of 2001, when we heard breaking news that a plane had crashed
Yeah.
and there was some video clipping, and then we found out hours later it was Aaliyah. I was like, oh wow, Aaliyah. She was one of the best singers ever, and her uncle was Barry Hankerson, and her aunt was Gladys Knight. And yes, she had a string of hits back then. So rest in peace to the one and only Aaliyah.
Yeah.
So for me, at number 7, I'm going to put down someone. All right, I'm going to put down a group. So I'm going to put down the Three Degrees. So they made their debut back in the 70s, but I didn't know that they made their debut in 1970 with a song called Maybe. But that was way before they joined the Philadelphia International family with their self-titled debut album, The Three Degrees, with 2 hits, including "When Will I See You
Hmm.
Again," and they had other songs, including "Being a Woman" and "Year of Decision." They had some other hits, but not as big as the song "When Will I See You Again." So I'm gonna put the Three Degrees at number 7. Okay, Nikki, for you for number 4.
Um, this one totally slipped my mind, and I can't believe I'm not good at ranking. Huge Michael Jackson fan. Um, Another one that unfortunately passed way too soon. Um, I will never forget his song that he did for the movie Free Willy. Um, I was in the dance class, and I remember we danced to that song, and that song would always make me start crying. But I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan, so
Okay, we'll put King of Pop for you at number 4. He performed with his brothers, made their debut back in 1969 when it was on Motown Records
hmm.
with their LP entitled Diana Ross Presents the Jackson 5. Had their
Yes.
debut hit I Want You Back, and they had other tunes, including Who's Loving You,
Hmm.
and then other tunes followed in 1970. They had their song ABC, The Love You Save, and other songs, including Maybe Tomorrow and Never Can Say Goodbye. That song
Hmm.
was written
Yeah.
by Clifton Davis. And they had other tunes. Michael Jackson hit his solo albums. He did the soundtrack for the movie Ben from 1972. That was a sequel to the movie Willard. And he had some other solo tunes. It was called Just a Little Bit of You. Other hits including Dancing Machine, If I Don't Love You This Way, and they have switched over to CBS Records back in 1976. They
Oh
had
wow.
their own summer variety show. They had some hits. They teamed up with Gamble and Huff. They had their hits called Enjoy Yourself, Good Times, and Show Me the Way to Go. And after that, they went on to superstardom. They had top 10 hits, including Shake Your Body Now to the Ground.
Hmm.
And Michael had teamed up with Quincy Jones with Off the Wall, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, and his second LP, Thriller. Oh my
Yes.
goodness, nonstop. Thriller, Billie Jean, You Always
Yeah.
Starving Something, and The Lady in My Life. The best ballad that I love was The Lady in My Life. Best song ever. And another LP, Bad. I mean, he did the music video. He's known for doing his 15-minute music videos. He was influenced by the movies. And the music video, Bad, had soon to be actor Wesley Snipes was in that
Yes.
video. And Martin Scorsese, we all know him from
Yes.
Goodfellas, he directed the music video.
Hmm.
And then the fourth album, Dangerous, had that music video, black and white,
Hmm.
cameo appearances by George Wendt of Cheers and Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
And I saw the video on Fox, the whole thing. So once it got to that other scene, that he had to tone it down a bit, for later appearances on the music video stations. But and he had another song, Remember the Time. John Singleton directed the video. Cameo appearances by Eddie Murphy, Eon,
Yes.
and Magic Johnson. That too was aired on Fox. Top 10 hits back then and everything. He nonstop. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of
Hmm.
Fame twice with his brothers in 1997 and again on solo in 2001. He had won everything: a Grammy, an American Music Award,
Yeah.
an American Music Award of Merit. He participated with USA for Africa. He co written the song with Lionel Richie, We Are the World, number one on Billboard's R&B Black and Hot 100 pop singles charts. And his last appearance was This Is It. That was the concert movie. That was his last appearance before he passed away in 2009. So when I was on my way to a club on Thursday night, we've lost Farrah Fawcett early that Thursday morning.
Yeah.
And by the time I got to the club, 5 o'clock, New York time, we heard the news that Michael Jackson had passed, and everybody was in shock.
Yeah.
So they thought it was like you know, fake. But by the time I got home, I listened to 1010 Wins. It was for real. Michael Jackson had passed away. I got a chance to see the funeral. The whole family. Usher had performed. Stevie Wonder performed,
Yes.
and Reverend Al Sharpton had did the eulogy, everything. But by the time the closing, Michael Jackson's little daughter made the prime time thing on the next page the next day. So rest in peace to the king of pop,
Yeah.
Michael Jackson. So for me, for number 6, already. So I'm going to put down, let me see. Number 6, I'm going to put down one of the artists that's not known but didn't get any recognition, and his name was Greg Perry. He had his only one hit, Come On Down, Get Your Head Out of the Clouds, and that came out in March of 1975. When I first heard that song on WLIB back in March of 1975, it was
Hmm.
his only one top 10 hit. We didn't hear any more hits later on, but that was the hit that I loved back in 1975. I couldn't get it out of my head. I kept, you know, listening to it, to the song. I looked for it on YouTube. I said, oh, okay, there it is. So I'm going to put Greg Perry at number 6. All right, Nicole, who should be at yours at number 5?
Oh, um, I remember. I remember this one. I would always put this song up so I could listen to it on my way home from my first job in radio. Um, and I think people knew it was coming. Absolutely love him, but Marvin Gaye. Um,
Ah, yes, the one and only Marvin Gaye.
let's get it
Yes.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
number 1
Hmm.
back in the summer of 1973, number 1 on the Billboard Soul Singles Charts,
Yes.
number one back in September 1973 for 3 weeks. And let me tell you, when I saw him perform on Soul Train, he performed a couple of tunes from his Let's Get It On LP.
Yeah.
And my mom and I, we were just watching the episode. But I knew Marvin Gaye from his earlier tunes, What's Going On, when his single came out back in March of 1971. Song went to number one on Billboard's Soul Singles Charts for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
When Berry Gordy found out that he was going to do a protest album, Berry Gordy was furious. He was saying, why you wanted to do a protest album? So when the executives took the singles to the radio stations, it was a smash. It was a concept album, and I didn't know it was a concept album. So when I was listening to the songs, he was talking about the war in Vietnam. He was talking about what's been happening in the black community, dealing with police brutality and the environment or climate change. And that album still relates back in 1971 and still relates today. And he also did a soundtrack LP called Trouble Man. I got a chance to see the black exploitation movie in 1972. He did a soundtrack album. We mentioned Let's Get It On. He did the live album. He did I Want You in 1976, and he did live at the London Palladium in
Wow.
1977. When he switched over to CBS Records in 1982, he had his LP called Midnight Love, number one hit Sexual Healing on
Yes.
Billboard's
Yeah.
R&B Black Singles Charts. It was there for 10 weeks. In December of 1982, he won an American Music Award, and he also won a Grammy Award. It's been a long time coming. He's been nominated for so many times.
Yeah.
And it was Marvin Gaye's night, and that was the last time that we saw him. Not until a year later that he was shot and killed by his father. So rest in peace to the late Marvin Gaye,
Yes.
Grammy Award winner, American Music Award winner, and was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the class of 1987. And he did his version of the Star Spangled Banner for the NBA All-Star game. He did it
Oh,
his
okay. Okay.
so,
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Okay.
so we'll put for you Marvin Gaye at
Yes.
number 5. So for me, at number 5, I'm gonna put down Frankie Valli, and
Good
he
choice.
was with the Four Seasons back then. I never knew who Frankie Valli was, but I knew him from the commercial for Columbia House and Vista Marketing. So I knew some of his songs, including Sherry and Big Girls Don't Cry. And by the
Yes.
time he did his solo, he had a song called Can't Take My Eyes Off of You. And then when Frankie Parker played Swearing to God on WBLS, I was like, oh, Frankie Parker played Frankie Valli?
Yeah.
Oh, Frankie Valli was on the disco craze. Yo, Frankie Valli, he kept up with the times. And his number one tune, Grease, from the movie Grease.
Yeah.
Yes, he performed it on Soul Train. So I was like, oh, Frankie Valli. He performed on Soul Train. So I'm going to put Frankie Valli at number 5.
It's a good choice too.
What's yours at number 6?
And number 6. Um, I love 50 Cent. I remember when going to the club was a thing. Me and my best friend used to, whenever his songs came on, I would always, and he's a great actor too. So
Okay, that's a good one. Number 6 will be 50 Cent,
yes.
rapper, actor, producer. I got a chance to hear his song in the club.
Yes.
And that was used to be a birthday anthem. So when I be at the club, they'll be doing the intro. Go, shawty, it's your birthday. We're gonna party like
It's
it's
your
your birthday.
birthday.
Drinking no clubs, it's birthday. So I was like, oh, okay. So they would use that for birthday songs. So
Hmm.
anybody who celebrated their birthday, when I go to an after work party on Friday night, they would use that intro. So 50 Cent has been doing so much, and yes, producing Power aired on Stars. So he's been doing a lot of things. So we'll put for you 50 Cent at number 6. So for me, for number 4, I'm going to put down George Benson. George Benson
Okay.
was on the scene back in the 70s. Now, I didn't know that George Benson made his debut back in the mid 60s, but I only knew him for his top 10 hit Reason, which was played on so many black radio stations. And yeah, he crossed over to the soul and adult contemporary and
Hmm.
jazz. He's later best known for his song called This Masquerade, and then he did a remake of The World is a Ghetto. But by 1980, he teamed up with Quincy Jones with his number one hit, Gimme the Night, and he
Oh,
won a Grammy for that. And he did some other tunes back in the 80s, and he's still performing. He's best remembered for plucking that guitar, go,
yeah.
so he's best known for that. So I'm gonna put George Benson at number 4. Okay.
Am
What
I
should
in
be for yours at number 7?
7? Oh gosh. Um, I love Lionel Richie. Um, I would pick him for number 7.
Okay, good choice. Lionel Richie,
Hmm.
uh, former lead singer of the Commodores back in the
Yes.
70s when they made their debut with their instrumental tune Machine Gun, and then later they had Sweet Love and Easy, Brick House, and
Yes.
and he went on to do perform a duet with Diana Ross with Endless Love, number
Hmm.
one hit on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts, and he went solo with other hits including Truly, and then his second LP, Can't Slow Down, sold over 1 million copies in print. He had hits called All Night Long, then he
Yes.
had
Yeah.
Hello, and then he had Love Will Find a Way. Those tunes, and he won an American Music Award for all those tunes.
Hmm.
And we'll put Lionel Richie for you at number
Number 7.
7. Okay, now for me, number 3, I'm going to put down Aretha Franklin, the Queen of
That's a good one.
Soul. She had some hits back to back in the late 60s with her number one hit, Respect. And
Hmm.
that song was originally written by Otis Redding, although it
Oh.
didn't become a hit for him, but it became a hit for Aretha in 1967.
Hmm.
And it became like a women's empowerment song.
Yeah.
So it was made for that time. So other hits she had, including Think, also Ain't No Way. She did a remake of Don't Play That Song, also a remake of Spanish Harlem,
Okay.
and she did her song called Daydreaming, a remake of Stevie Wonder's Until You Come Back to Me, and then by the 80s she had tunes including Freeway of Love, Get It Right, Jump to It, just to name a few. Not only that, she did 2 gospel albums. One was Amazing Grace, and the other one was One Lord, One Faith, One Baptism. She won a Grammy for that album. As I said, American Music Award winner, Grammy Award winner,
Hmm.
been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the class of 1987.
Yeah.
And one of the best memories that I got a chance to see when she performed at the 1998 Grammy Awards on CBS. She can do opera.
Hmm.
And when I was watching it, Luciano Pavarotti was supposed to perform, but he wasn't feeling well. So the producers came to Aretha and said, "Can you do this?" And she said, "Yeah, I'll give it a shot."
Hmm.
Let me tell you, when she did opera, let me tell you, the whole audience, they gave her a standing ovation. I mean, some were crying to the tears, like, Aretha can do that?
Hmm.
So Aretha can do anything, whether it's gospel, jazz, blues,
Yeah.
soul, pop rock, and yes, opera. So I'm putting Aretha,
Yeah.
Queen of Soul, at number three. Okay, for you, who's up at number eight?
Number 8. Um, I'm gonna go with Tina Turner.
Ah, the
Yeah.
Queen of Rock and Soul,
Yes.
Tina Turner.
Hmm.
Made her debut with Ike, and the only Ike and Tina I knew when they performed on Soul Train. They did their version of Rolling on the River. First, they
Hmm.
started easy, slow, and then they picked it up rough and rocking and everything. So Tina Turner have done it all. Best known for
Yes.
her big wild hair
Hmm.
back then. She was on the scene back in the 70s and then later in the 80s on her own solo. She did the remake of Al Green's Let's Stay Together. And then she
Yeah.
did the one and only number one hit, What's Love Got
Got
to
to do
Do with It?
that. Yeah.
And she won a Grammy for that song. And she had some other hits back in the later 80s, but nothing can compare to that song, What's Love Got
Got
to
to
Do
do
with It?
with it. Yeah.
It made it into a movie based on her autobiography, I, Tina. And yes, the one and only. She was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame
Hmm.
with her then husband Ike, and then again in 2021. So rest in peace to the Queen of Rock and Soul,
Yes.
Tina Turner. All right, for me, number two, I'm going to put down Marvin Gaye myself. So,
Hmm.
as I said earlier, he had some hits during the 60s and 70s and early 80s. So, I'm going to put Marvin Gaye at number two. All right, for you, who should be at number nine?
Oh gosh. Oh, My best friend surprised me with tickets. I'm gonna have to go with Ludacris.
Ah, Luda.
Luda.
Yep. Best known for his hits, Boo, Psh, Get Out the Way,
Yes.
and so many other tunes.
Hmm.
He did some acting with the Fast and
Yeah.
Furious
Yeah.
franchise.
He's amazing.
And yeah, he's into some commercials too, State Farm commercials.
Yes. Yeah.
So he's doing pretty well. So for you, we'll put Ludacris at number nine.
Okay. Luda.
Now, for me, yes. For me, number one, I'm putting down Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
He's done it all. He had some hits when he was 12 years old with a song called Fingertips. And he had other hits, including Uptight, For Once in My Life, My Sharia Moore. In the 70s, he had Signed, Sealed, Delivered, Superstition, You Haven't Done Nothing, I Wish. And yes, in the 80s, he did some other tunes, including Do I Do, and he did the song called Happy Birthday, which is our tune for us black folks that we use it for our birthday parties. It was a song in honor of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and that was from his LP Hotter
Oh,
Than
okay.
July, and he dedicated that song. He is a singer, songwriter, producer, arranger. He won so many Grammy Awards, an American Music Award winner, been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for 1989, and he won an Oscar for the song I Just Called to Say I Love You from the movie The Woman in Red that starred the late Gene Wilder.
Hmm.
And he's also an activist.
Yeah.
He was there to making Congress to make Dr. King Day a national holiday. So he done it all. He
Yeah.
sings, writes, produces, get involved with politics and everything. He participated in USA for Africa's We Are the World. So I'm putting down the one and only Stevie Wonder,
It's very good
Genius,
choice.
at number one. All right, we should be at number 10 for you.
Oh gosh. Um, I'm gonna go with Dr. Dre.
Ah, yes, Dr. Dre.
Yes.
Yes, from the West Coast. He
Hmm.
started out with the group NWA, and then by 1992, he started his own record, Death Row. He had some hits called Ain't Nothing But a G Thing, and he had other tunes including Been There, Done That, and he did some duets with Eminem, and just to name a few. And he'll be
Yeah.
best remembered for his own product called Beats, the headphones, for sure. So
Yes.
we got you down for Dr. Dre at number 10. So, well, Nikki, it's a pleasure to have you here on my Black Soul Music Experience podcast. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and thank you for being in the radio industry. And like me, I've been in the radio, for 5, 10 years. So today I'm just a DJ doing DJ gigs and doing my Black Soul Music Experience podcast. But before I go, I want to do an honorary shout out to some of the radio DJs that I grew up listening
Sure.
to. I want to mention Frankie Crocker,
Hmm.
Ken Spiderweb, Vi Higginson, Lamar Renee, Vaughn Harper, Donnie Simpson, Tom Joyner, Harry Harrison, Ron Lundy, Cousin Brucey, Chuck Leonard, Max Kingle, G. Keep Alexander, Jerry Bledsoe, and Shayla. And I gotta put down Casey Kasem. Not only he was
Yes.
a radio DJ personality, but he was a voiceover as well. He did
Yeah.
tunes for Shaggy of Scooby Doo, and
Hmm.
did the voice of Robin for Batman and Robin with the Super Friends. And of course, he did some acting in the movie called The Incredible Two-Headed Transplant that starred Bruce Dern as the mad scientist
Okay.
and host of America's Top 10, because he always closes it out with keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
Yes.
And I gotta put down comedian Nancy Giles. She played a radio DJ personality in that show China Beach on ABC,
Okay.
and she too was a radio DJ personality with the Jay Thomas Morning Show on Jammin' 105.1 in New York City, and now she's a commentator for CBS Sunday Morning.
It's
So
awesome.
again, thank you so much for
Thank
taking the
you.
time out. Okay.
Thank you.
Now, you're welcome. Now, where can we follow you for any upcoming events, and where can we follow you on social media?
Well, I have Facebook and I have Instagram right now. And then hopefully some projects that are in the works. One of them, all of them I'm excited about, but there's one in particular that super excited about. Unfortunately, I can't talk about it just yet, but I'm hoping by the end of the year, something will come out with it. So, and then I am with a couple different voiceover agencies. One is in California, and then one is in Ohio. So, but yeah, definitely stay tuned, and I will keep you updated on that.
Okay, thank you for the quick plug. Download all the artists that we have talked about on this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Visit iTunes.com, Spotify.com, or purchase the CD at Amazon.com. And make sure you follow Nikki Lutz. She is on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to hear this interview, please subscribe by going to the link. The link is riverside.fm/studio/Samuel dash Wilson Jr.'s. Don't forget to add the S to the end, dash studio. And if you have a hard time getting on to riverside.fm, then please become a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. And yes, I will be posting this episode on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And if you have a hard time getting on to Patreon, I will be posting this episode coming soon to YouTube. And
Perfect.
please pass it on. Thank you for joining me as I
Thank
close out
you.
this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience.
Thank you for having.
Well, that's about it for this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. I'm Sam Wilson Jr. Thank you for joining me, and please tune in next week for an all-new episode. The Black Soul Music Experience podcast is sponsored by the support of listeners like you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe by going to riverside.fm/studio/Samuel-Wilson Jr.'s-studio. And don't forget to check out my audio podcast episodes by becoming a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. And also check out my video podcast episodes by subscribing to youtube.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. And please leave your comments, feedbacks, and replies by going to my Facebook homepage. Visit facebook.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. And you can also tweet me on X, aka Twitter, at Sam Wilson Jr. 66. As always, parting, remember this: reach for the top and your dreams will come true, and it can happen to you. From all of us, take care, God bless. Thanks for listening, have a good week, and please be safe.